Hello students, in this video I have the remaining parts of your chapter, the enemy, from your book Vistas for class 12. Till now we studied that Dr. Sadao had finally planned to escape. Dr. Sadao finally planned to escape that American, as the general promised him to send his private assassins to kill him, but for 3 days he didn't send anyone. Finally, Dr. Sadao thought that it is better to get rid of this man as soon as it is possible. So he planned that he will save him. He gave him some Japanese clothes, a torch, a boat, a small size boat, you can say canoe, and he gave him some clothes with quills, with some food and water bottles, and instructed him that what he had to do. Now here let's continue. He was dressed now in the Japanese clothes. He means American. This is the part of the escaping plan. American was now dressed. He wore the Japanese clothes which Sadao had given him, which Sadao offered him, and at the last moment Sadao wrapped a black cloth about his blonde head. And at the last moment, while he was about to depart for that island which was instructed by Dr. Sadao, Dr. Sadao wrapped a black colored cloth around his blonde head. Blonde means, you can say, a kind of head which is having golden color hair. It's a blonde head. And after wrapping that cloth around his black color cloth around his forehead, Dr. Sadao said, "Now the young American, without a word, without speaking any single word, shook Sadao's hand warmly. He shook hands with Dr. Sadao. Warmly means with respectfully, and then walked quite well across the floor. And then he walked quite well, means completely in a good manner, because he was injured, but now he was not having any problem in proper walking. So he was walking properly across the floor. He was walking on the floor. Then he came towards down the step into the darkness of the garden, and then he entered in the garden portion. Once and down the step into the darkness of the garden. Once or twice, Sadao saw his light flash, that he was flashing the light, torchlight, to find his way, because he couldn't find the way properly. To see the way properly, he used his torchlight, but that would not be suspected. But actually, one or two flashlight will not be suspected. Why this suspected word is here? Actually, if you remember, Dr. Sadao had told that we don't use this flashlight too much in the evening time, because and he was escaping at the evening time, and he told him that if you will use this torchlight too much, it will be seen, it will be observed, and the coastal guards can arrest you. He waited until from the shore there was one more flash, and he waited. Dr. Sadao waited till he got the last flash. It was a kind of symbol that he was at the island. Then he closed the partition. Then he closed the window. That night he slept, and that night he slept well. Why this particular statement has been used? Because last 3 nights he couldn't sleep well. He was anxious. He was waiting that the assassins would have come and killed the American. But this night he was assured that even assassins come, they will not find this American here. So he slept quite well, peacefully. You say the man escaped. Now this incident. So here Dr. Sadao actually anyhow escaped that American. And now you could see that again after some time, Dr. Sadao met to the old army general, and he told him that Dr. Sadao told army general that American had escaped. Now the general is speaking. While Dr. Sadao told him that the American has escaped, he will never say that I help him to escape. He would have told that he escaped by himself. To listening this, general asked faintly, means weakly. General was feeling weak in health, and it is a statement of general. He told, "You say the man escaped. What do you say, Dr. Sadao? You say the man escaped. He had been operated upon a week before." And he told, now here author says that he means general had been operated upon a week before, means 1 week before there was a surgery done of that army general, an emergency operation to which Dr. Sadao had been called in the night. That was an emergency operation, because that general was old age also, and he was already having 2 heart attacks, and third heart attack would have been dangerous for him. So that's why an emergency surgery was done, and for Dr. Sadao was called for that purpose at night even. For 12 hours, Sadao had not been sure that the general would leave, and for 12 hours after operation, Dr. Sadao was not sure that the general will leave. The gallbladder was much involved. The gallbladder area, you know, that gallbladder area was much involved in infection. It was much infected. Then the old man had begun to breathe deeply, and thereafter the old man started begin breathe deeply, means he started taking deep breaths again and to demand food, and then he demanded, means the after 12 hours he was out of risk. He started breathing properly, though it was deep, and he asked for food. Sadao had not been able to ask about the assassins, and Sadao did not ask to that army general when he met him second time to ask about the assassins, because he was being operated. And now after operation he came into senses, and then Dr. Sadao told him everything, and then he told that, you say the man escaped. So far as he knew, they had never come, but Dr. Sadao knew very well that the assassins never came. It was means on the fourth day, Dr. Sadao helped that American to escape, but even after that, the assassins had not come. The servants had returned, and Yumi had cleaned the guest room thoroughly and had burned sulfur into it to get the white man's smell out of it. The servants had returned after getting the news that the American was left the house of Dr. Sadao and Hana, and Yumi had cleaned that guest room where he was kept. American was kept thoroughly, completely, and she burnt sulfur to change the smell of that room, to get out the smell of that American. Nobody said anything. Nobody said speak anything. None of the servants, neither the servants nor Dr. Sadao nor Hana, and no complaint from either side. Only the gardener was cross because he had got behind with his Chrysanthemum mumps. That is, only the gardener was cross, means angry, because he had left while he left Dr. Sadao's house. He in his garden he has a chrysanthemums is a kind of flower. So he saw that the chrysanthemums flower was not look after properly. It was being destroyed actually. But after a week, Sadao felt the general was well enough to be spoken to about the prisoner. And after a week, means after operation was done of that old army general by Dr. Sadao, and in a week, while general became completely well, physically strong, then Dr. Sadao is spoken about that matter, about that prisoner that he had escaped from his home to army general. Yes, Excellency, he escaped. And then now this is the question here. You say the man escaped. Now Dr. Sadao is answering here. Yes, Excellency. Yes, Your Honor. He escaped. Sadao now said. Now Sadao spoke. He coughed, signifying that he had not said all he might have said, but was unwilling to disturb the general further. He coughed, but saying while he was speaking, Dr. Sadao coughed, and the cough signified that whatever he wanted to say, he couldn't. Suppose that it happens when I was talking to someone, and in between the talk, in the duration of talk, if we start coughing, we could not say everything that we wanted to say because cough disturbs us. So that happened with Dr. Sadao also. Dr. Sadao started coughing, and that signified that he might not have spoken everything which he wanted to spoke to general, but was unwilling to disturb the general further. But he didn't wanted to disturb the general further, so he didn't speak anything also. But the old man opened his eyes suddenly. But all of a sudden, after listening this, yes, Excellency, he said, the old man all of a sudden opened his eyes. That prisoner, he said with some energy. Now he gathered some energy, that army general, and told, that prisoner, that American, did I not promise you I would kill him for you? And now he's asking to Dr. Sadao that, did I not promise you that I will send assassins and I will kill that American for you? You did, Excellency, Dr. Sadao said. Yes, Excellency, you did, Sadao said. Well, the old man said in a tone of amazement. Now the old man was quite surprised that even I promised, why he escaped? You should have looked after him till I sent the assassins. Now he said, okay. So I did, it means I promised. Actually, it means that the general has forgotten that even he had promised or not. But you see, I was suffering a good deal. Now actually students, you need to understand that why what general is speaking and what did he mean in few lines, actually coming lines. Actually, general is thinking that now if Dr. Sadao will inform to the higher authorities, government officials about this American and his escape from his home, and he will also inform that I have told, if the high officials were questioning that why didn't you inform to any person who is in authority to do anything regarding that American, then Dr. Sadao will definitely simply tell that I have told General promised to send assassins, but he didn't send and he escaped. Now the general is thinking that if Dr. Sadao carries this matter of escaping of that American to the higher authorities, general himself will be blamed by the higher authorities, and general might be punished. That's why he thought. But you see, I was suffering a good deal. Now he is actually pretending, and he's trying to defend himself that why he was not able to send the assassins. And he says, you can understand, Dr. Sadao, I was suffering a good deal, means I was suffering on a health ground. I was suffering much. The truth is, and that is truth also, I thought of nothing but myself. The truth is that my journal is accepting that I thought of nothing but myself, means I only thought about my health, but I didn't care about anything else. In short, I forgot my promise to you. And now journal told clearly that, in short, Dr. Sadao, I want to tell you that I forgot my promise which I did you, that I will send assassins. I wondered, Your Excellency, Sadao murmured. Yes, I surprised Your Excellency, Sadao murmured. Sadao told, why Dr. Sadao told that I was surprised? I was surprised at how you forgot your promise actually. It was certainly very careless of me. Now the general is blaming actually himself, that why he is blaming that because of him actually the American escaped from Dr. Sadao's home, because he couldn't send the assassins at the time. It was certainly very careless of me, the general accepted, that I was very careless. But you understand, it was not lack of patriotism or dereliction of duty. But now general is defending himself and saying that Dr. Sadao understand it was a lack of patriotism. You can't say that it was a lack of that I am not patriotic, or dereliction of duty. Dereliction is carelessness, and you can't say that I am careless about my duty. He looked anxiously at his doctor, and he was looking very, very carefully at his doctor, towards the face of Dr. Sadao. He wanted to read the facial expression of Dr. Sadao while he is speaking all these statements. If the matter should come out, you would understand that, wouldn't you? Now, the main thing which generally is speaking here, if the matter should come out, suppose that if the matter should come out, means if the matter will go to the higher authorities, you understand, Dr. Sadao, wouldn't you, that what will happen? So I think now general is in mood to postpone this matter and to keep this matter close forever between Army General and Dr. Sadao. Certainly, Your Excellency, Sadao said. Now, Dr. Sadao said that, yes, sir, I understand you, that you are very patriotic person. You are not showing any kind of dereliction in duty. I know that you are very, Sadao said. He suddenly comprehended. All of a sudden, Dr. Sadao comprehended that the general was in his palm, that general was now in his clutch. Previously, Dr. Sadao was in the clutch of Army General. Now, Army General was in the clutch of that of Dr. Sadao, and that as a consequence and as a result of that, in which he felt that Dr. Sadao, that Army General was in the clutch of Dr. Sadao, he himself was perfectly safe. Dr. Sadao felt that now he was completely safe. I can swear to you loyalty, Excellency, he said. Dr. Sadao now said, I can. Now he is oiling and buttering to the Army General, Dr. Sadao, and he said, I can swear. I swear, sir, promise that to your loyalty, that you are very loyal towards our nation. He said to the old general, and to your zeal against the enemy, and your energy and your bravery against enemy, I know very well. You are a good man, the general murmured. Now, general was very happy that Dr. Sadao is not going to inform this matter to any other higher official, and general thought that general will be escaped. Otherwise, general would have been punished. Now he says, you are a good man. The general murmured, he spoke, and closed his eyes, and closing his eyes, he will be rewarded. And he told that I will ask the government that you should be rewarded, not rewarded to escape that American and treat them. Actually, don't understand, students don't comprehend this point wrongly. Actually, he told that I will recommend the government, Japanese government, that you are a very good doctor and you must get reward. But Sadao searching the spot of black. Now Dr. Sadao returned his home. He's at his home right now, and this scene is from here. But Sadao was searching the spot of black in the twilight sea that night. But that night, Dr. Sadao was searching. It was twilighted. Twilighted means it was just evening time. You can say it is just the time when sun sets behind the curtains in the sky towards western side, and it becomes black. So it is neither day nor night. It is just evening time. That time is called twilighted. So it was twilight time, and Dr. Sadao was searching for some light, because as he has instructed to that American that you have to give two signal if your food is out, you have to give one torch signal if you are safe there. Had his reward, because general has got his reward. Actually, what was his reward? His reward was that Americans should escape safely from Japan. There was no prick of light in the dusk, and in that darkness, there was no prick of light. In the evening there was no symbol of light. In the dusk means in the morning time also there was no symbol of light. Dusk is again evening time. No one was on the island, and it means no symbol of torch, no torch symbol. That means there was no one on the island, means his prisoner was gone. It means that American was gone, safe. Doubtless there was no doubt about that, for he had warned him to wait only for a Korean fishing boat, because Dr. Sadao had already gave warning to that American that you have to wait for only Korean fishing boat. Otherwise, if you will get Japanese fishing boat, that will cost you. He stood for a moment on the veranda. For a moment, Dr. Sadao stood in his veranda, gazing out to the sea from whence the young man had come. Now, Dr. Sadao is reminding all the incidents which happened in the beginning of the chapter, and when that American came towards Dr. Sadao's home, and he took him at his home and treated him. Now he's reminding everything. Gazing out of the sea. Now he's looking towards sea. Whence means from where the young man had come. That young American had come that other night. The other night means that night when he got him, he and his wife Hannah got that American injured man in at the seashore, and into his mind, and all of a sudden into the mind of Dr. Sadao, although without reason. There was no reason that why these thoughts came into his mind, but few thoughts came into his mind, few old memories revived into his mind. There came other white faces he had known, other white faces that he had known in America actually, that he started remembering about them. The professor at whose wife he had met Hannah, he reminded about the professor at whose house he met his wife Hannah. A dull man, he was a dull man actually, the professor, and his wife had been a silly talkative woman, and his wife was very silly, very foolish, stupid, and talkative lady, talks too much, and in spite of her wish to be kind, rather than she wanted to be she was very kind to the students, but she was very talkative. He remembered his old teacher of anatomy. Now he remembered his old teacher of anatomy. Anatomy is physiology, a person who knows about human body very well, human organs very well. That is called anatomy. So he remembered about the teacher of anatomy who had been so insistent on mercy, who means his anatomy professor, his anatomy teacher, always focused on, so insistent means always instinted, always focused, always talked about mercy with the knife. Means when he told that whenever you will become a surgeon, a doctor, and you have a knife in your hand, you have scissors or knife in your hand for operating a patient in front of your eyes, be merciful. And then he remembered the face of his fat, then he remembered the face of his fat and slatternly landlady, and very strict landlady, means you can say very hefty body, that is certainly very hefty body. He had great difficulty in finding a place to live in America, and now he remembered that he had means it was past and had means God. So that was he had two times. He had great difficulty in finding a place to live in America because he was a Japanese. So Dr. Sadao remembers that how he found so much difficulty to got a room in America to live because he was a Japanese, and none of the Americans were ready to give a room to a Japanese person. The Americans were full of prejudice. And jealousy, and it had been bitter to live in it, and it was very bad experience to live in America for a Japanese person, knowing himself their superior, because Americans treat themselves as superior to Japanese. How he had despised the ignorant, how despised means how he had hated actually the ignorant and dirty old woman. Now he remembered another lady who was very ignorant. He always wanted to ignore that lady, but because she was very dirty natured, his old woman. the older man who had at last consented to house him. Means finally an old lady whom Dr. Sadao never liked actually, but she finally permitted him to give a house, a room where he could live. Miserable home. That was a very bad home, but because very hardly he found a room, that's why he was forced to live there. He had once tried to be grateful to her, because once Dr. Sadao tried to become, he didn't become, he tried to become grateful, thankful to that lady, to that old lady who gave him a house to live, and his last year nursed him, because this old lady, while Dr. Sadao's last year was in America of his study, she nursed him, she cared him through influenza, because Dr. Sadao was suffering from influenza, means fever, but it was difficult. But even he wanted to be kind to that lady, it was very difficult, for she was no less impulsive to him in her kindness, because though she was showing kind behavior towards American, but she towards Dr. Sadao being a Japanese, but being a Japanese, she was showing a kind of kindness, but that was repulsive kindness, means hateful kindness. Now he remembered the youthful. Now he remembered again the youthful, haggard face of his prisoner. The last he is reminding the face of this American whom he has got at his doorstep, and he treated that American Navy soldier, white and repulsive. Now he again remembered the face of that man. Remembered that he was a white man, an American, and started being hating that man, Dr. Sadao. Now Dr. Sadao is thinking, he thought, strange, it is very strange. I wonder why I could not kill him. I am surprised that why I was not able to kill that man, though I was so misbehaved while I lived in America, and Americans always treat themselves superior to Japanese, and they torture him. So why did I not kill him? But students don't think that he would have killed him, because nature and signature never changes, and Dr. Sada was having a very passionate and very good nature, very kind nature person he was. So he would not have even done. And this doubt that he should, this kind of, you can say, confusion, that he should save that American, or he should kill him, he should hand him over to the police authorities, was always confusing him. But he always give privilege to the good thought over bad one. Thank you.